Squint. Okay, without further ado, we're gonna watch this video. I'm gonna be pausing a lot because I like to talk about what I'm seeing. And y'all talk about what y'all seeing too. Hold up. Video. Is it this one? I don't poke me, you guys. Stop it. Okay, I think it's good. I think it's good. I think I got it good. I think I got it. I think I got it. I think I got it.
Ruined by overconsumption. And I'm serious when I say that. And the reason why I thought this was because I sit down to play, open
Thank
my
you for the
console, look at
biddies.
my
Thank you,
library, and instead of feeling excited, I feel overwhelmed. There's different DLCs for every single game, too many things to get caught up on, too many limited time
Thank you for the
events,
head pats.
too
Thank you,
many
thank
limited time
you.
drops with gear and shaders and all that kind of stuff. Too many decisions before I even press start. And looking into the gaming space, I'm not the only one who feels this way. You'll go on TikTok and you'll see people just opening up their console and just staring at the home screen because they literally have no idea what to play. They feel like
Hubert, do
gaming,
you
but
need
they're
to
not
go
sure what they
outside?
feel in the
Can you
mood
go outside?
for.
Can
You
you
sit
go
down to
potty?
play something and instead you scroll the PlayStation Store
she's
or
fine.
see what new
You
games
know
are
she
out on
wants to go
Steam.
potty.
And before you know it, what was supposed to be your gaming session
The
turns
Disney game is
into
super
a
cute. I've been
browsing
thinking about
sesh. And as
buying it.
someone who genuinely loves video
All right,
games,
I'm gonna
as
toss
someone who
Goober
grew
out
up
into space.
gaming,
Be right
can
back.
spend hours in a single gaming session, this is concerning because this is a hobby that so many people have, and yet it's quietly being ruined. Now, this video is not a
video games are bad
video. It's not that kind of take. We're going to talk about the cons of video gaming. Obviously, with every good thing, there's cons attached to it, but this is coming from inside the house. We're just going to have a conversation today about how I personally feel video games are being ruined. And this is not about quitting games or giving up the hobby completely. It's about playing the games without letting them play us instead. Ever since video games came out, they have pulled people in with the allure of a virtual world. They tap into something incredibly human, our desire for progress, purpose, and reward. And in real life, progress is slow. You can work on something for months or even years and still feel like you haven't even taken a single step forward. And that's where the allure of video games comes in, because you can get progress pretty quickly, and depending on which game you're playing, it tells you when you've succeeded.
That is so true. I love to live my wildest dreams in video games. Like affording a house. Having money. Money is nice. Okay, wait, cross that. Having an abundance of money.
Celebrates you when you level up. It gives you new gear and improves your strengths and how you can handle other challenges that you're going to encounter later in the game. And so it's very enticing to want to keep playing them. And for people who feel like they aren't achieving anything in their real life, video games offer that kind of escape. Like, I'm actually moving towards something, not just staying stuck.
You're not going to want to hear this, but video games are ruining your life. Video games are designed to give you a lot of reward for not a lot of effort. The problem with that is that
Me too. Me too. I love doing things in games that I'll never do IRL. Like finding love. Same. I should go check up on my husband Elliot in Stardew, come to think about it. I wonder if he's forgotten about me. Nah, he's a romantic. He loves me. It's fine. It's fine. I just haven't seen him for like a year. It's fine. It's fine. He's a good husband.
the way life works is a lot of effort for not a lot of reward. If you think about it, getting anything in life that's worth doing is a lot of effort and not a lot of reward in the short term. Like working out, for example. It takes a long time to build the amount of muscle that you want, the physique that you want. It takes effort, and that effort, especially in the short term, you don't see a lot of progress day to day. It takes weeks, months for you to see progress. Now, if you stack that up against a video game that has literally been programmed by programmers to give you massive boosts in dopamine, which is basically reward, for very little effort, literally moving your mouse or your controller, there's no competition. You're gonna pick the game almost every time. And I know this because I was that person. When it came to doing anything past the bare minimums in my life and playing games,
Holy shit. Level 4 hype train.
because I already
Let's
got the
go.
minimums done. The games are so much more fun. The problem with that is that you become a bare minimum kind of person. And doing the bare minimum gets you the bare minimum.
I think he's not wrong to an extent. I think doing the bare minimum in life will get you the bare minimum because games kind of give this illusion that you get really big rewards for doing the bare minimum in the game. What's required of you, the objective, you got to finish this. They give you optional things to do in the quest, but you still get the reward. That doesn't translate to real life. Unfortunately, that's just not the way life works. And if you were doing the bare minimum, you are going to get the bare minimum. You aren't going to progress as a person. And I think if you spend all of your free time playing video games, you aren't really going to be able to progress into the person you want to be, to chase the dreams, because you're not allowing yourself.
Okay, but what about that is about overconsumption? We're talking about two different things, ma'am. You said this was a video about overconsumption ruining video games. Now, are you talking about overconsumption as in the amount that people play? Are you talking about overconsumption as in how many options and how much shit is constantly in video games, ma'am? What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? I'll hear you out because you're not wrong. But yeah.
For giving yourself time to work on the things that you've always dreamed about.
Playing video games, start treating your life like it's a game, because for some reason when it comes to a game, we're not afraid to take chances
30 minutes
because we know that we can just start all over, right?
30 minutes.
But when it comes to our own real life, we freeze. We don't do anything because we're so stuck in our day-to-day life. But the whole point in a game is to like level up and beat the next level. You can only do that by constantly improving on your character, on yourself in the game. But you should be doing the exact same thing in life. Like if you're not constantly working on becoming a better version of yourself, you're going to be stuck on the same level until you're 65 years old, you know? Like, life is meant to be fun, and I promise, like, going after your dreams does not have to be daunting. Like, yes, it's going to be scary, but you're allowed to have fun while working towards the things that you want to achieve.
I think moderation is key here. Like, you
let's
can
see, the
step away
allure
from
of video
games
games
completely and just focus on yourself. But for many people, having a source of escape is so important that they don't want to give it up. They don't want to just say goodbye and work on themselves and progress. You can do that, but you can also play video games. It's about having those boundaries in place. I don't think writing off video games completely is the answer if that's where you find your enjoyment. And I also don't heavily lean into hustle culture. I think it's okay to allow yourself time to escape, whether that's video games or reading, whatever method you choose. All that needs to happen is moderation. Games also offer a clear sense of identity. You're a specific character. This is your role. You belong to a world that makes sense and you have objectives that clearly laid out for you. And for a long time, this was the magic of gaming. You bought a game, you entered its world, and you stayed there until the experience felt complete. But somewhere along the way, that sense of completion has disappeared. And while this is a good thing, because there's some games that we just simply don't want to end, and then the game comes out with new DLC and new extended content, but at the same time, you never get to shut that door. Now, what I can personally relate this to is the two video games I've been really obsessed with playing right now, which was Horizon Zero Dawn, the first game in the Horizon series, and then Horizon Forbidden West. Both of these games you can continue playing after you've beaten the main story, and even then, once you've completed the main story, if there's nothing left to do, you can go back and start a new game, but also keep all of the stuff you've accumulated in your first playthrough, your level. You have a whole playthrough where things are just immensely easier. And then not only that, but they also came out with the Burning Shores DLC for the Forbidden West game. I have played Forbidden West. I think I'm on my second playthrough. I played them back to back, okay? Because I just love this world so much. But I feel like because there's no sense of completion, how I'm allowed to keep playing the game, I am going to do that until I get completely bored of it and don't want to play anymore. And this sounds great in theory, like why wouldn't you want to play a game that you love forever and ever in an endless loop? Well, thinking about it, I think it changes the relationship entirely. So instead of playing the game for it to be fully experienced, it just exists to retain you. I also want to talk about a conversation that tends to come up whenever an adult
I think that you need to definitely improve on yourself. And if you don't do that in life, you're going to just lose the sense of purpose, but you don't always need to focus on improving yourself every day. Yeah, that's like, when it comes to working out type of thing, for example, or going to work every day, and you don't always give 100%. You can't. You physically cannot give 100% all the time. Like, so some days you may be only giving 40%, and that's totally fine. And then other days you may be able to give 90 or 100%. So like, I guess it's like the same thing. Your improvement on yourself is, while daily, the percentage of it differs. I suppose. I'm gonna put the video back on and I'm gonna get Goober in.
Speaks about playing video games, and there's always this villainization of video games. Like, you're playing video games, you're wasting your time, you could be doing other things, like you're not a child anymore.
Imagine being in your 20s, grinding a 9-to-5 job just for $2,400 a month, and then wasting your free time on getting drunk and playing video games. Those are the two most single biggest wastes of time ever. Like, I've been playing Apex trying to get to Masters, right? Putting in 4 hours a day, and I still suck at Apex. I'm not getting anywhere.
That
Video
emote's
games are
cute,
for
by the way.
kids. I could have spent those 62 hours I wasted playing video games on talking to more women, getting more fit, getting out more, going on hikes, using my personal development skills to get better, listening to more podcasts, listening to more inspirational people. Video games are pointless, and I give up. I quit.
I bet
throwing
he's
away the Xbox.
lying.
There's this persistent attitude
he's
that
lying.
playing video games is a lesser
Chaotic
hobby.
Wolf, hello,
or just
hello,
simply
welcome
a
in, good
hobby that
morning.
adult people should not have at all. There's also the stigma that anyone who plays video games is lazy, immature, doesn't want to grow up, antisocial, or just simply wasting their life. And you hear it all the time. The amount of TikToks I've seen while researching for this video saying that video games is a waste of time is insane.
Video games.
So your dad is 48 and he plays Fortnite still. He's not afraid to still be a child. If you're like, you only live one life, you guys. You only live one life. When do you just beat the whimsy out of your life? When do you beat the whimsy out of your life? Why can't you have whimsy? Why can't you have video games? Why can't you frolic in the woods if you want to? As long as you're not doing anything bad. Has a house, a kid, family, plays soccer 5 days a week. Why would I want to be drunk and play games? Also, if you suck at video games, of course you don't want to play. If you suck, just say you suck. God. Balls for doing that in a McDonald's drive-thru. My dad is the one who got me into video games in the first place. I'll happily still play video games at 85 years old. I used to play Quake with my dad when I was a kid, or Age of Empires. So I remember when Mama Ket and Mama Ket bought a PS one, I think, question mark? I don't remember if it was 1 or 2. Spyro was on it. Mama Ket loved Spyro. Looking back on it, it's the cutest memory looking back on it that she was experiencing like the same joy and whimsy that I was with Spyro and shit. And like, it was cute. It was cute. Like, so, and that was Mama Ket was not much of whimsy, but she still had whimsy. Spyro. And she did the cute little thing where, like, you know, you turn your whole body with the controller. Like, if you're going right, you're tilting right. Ah! I'm bad at video games, so I don't want to play, but I'm going to call everyone else a loser for being better at something I wish I could do, but I can't. First 3 PC games I played were all with him. Doom, it was PS1. Yeah. PS1, I played Tekken 3 with my sister without my dad being childish. I don't think I would have loved PC shooters as much as I do now. I know if it wasn't for my uncle, I don't think I would have been interested in video games or PC at all. He was big in video games. Like he had like the Atari, SNES and all that. And then like he got me playing video games when I was really little. So yeah, I don't think if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have been interested in video games as much. Why aren't people allowed to have whimsy? Exactly. And she's going to talk about this. We're going to talk about it because like, why do people think like this? It's not like, I guess there maybe everyone envisions like the person, quote unquote, living in the basement and they have a hole in their chair cut out for their poo-poo and they never leave and their chair has fused with their body, and now they're chair human. Very, very, very scary evolution of man, chairman. Very scary. Don't recommend. My family is very anti-video games, drove me to them, and I'm so thankful for having them in my life because of that. Fair, fair. I have this conversation a lot with my aunt. She spends a lot of time watching television and doesn't seem to understand that I don't like TV much. But I can spend hours playing video games, but I feel like after a video game, I've accomplished something, which I don't have that feeling with television. But I also have a tendency to get super attached to video game characters, which is why I just finished my 3rd playthrough of Mass Effect Trilogy yesterday and spent all day crying over it. Okay, but like, you know, you're ending. I have a tendency to get super attached to video game characters. Don't older generations or people who watch shows a lot get attached to those characters as well? Like hyper attached? Like it can kind of be problematic attached? Like I'm just saying. It's not limited to video games. Like parasocial. Yeah, and it even gets worse because like in my opinion, it gets worse because like not only do you get parasocial with the character, but you also get parasocial with the actress and or actor. It's a normal thing in all media. Exactly. All right, going back to the video.
Are a waste of time is what a lot of people say. In reality, I think you should play video games, and I'll tell you why. Let's look at the alternative. After a long day of work or school, people watch a movie, a show, scroll on TikTok, which shortens their attention span. This requires no effort at all because all you're doing is inputting. Video games, on the other hand, allow you to output. There's an objective that you're trying to accomplish, and you're using some sort of brain power to attain it. It also keeps you creative and social.
Okay, what he just said, it does take thought process with not all games, but most games takes thought process of how the f am I gonna do this thing? Even if it's like Marvel Rivals or Overwatch, how am I gonna get the upper hand on the situation that I'm in this battle? Blah, blah, blah. Brain power, baby! We all don't have spatulas to unstick ourselves from our gaming chairs after 14 hours of forgetting grass exists. What? That's how chairman happens. Be careful. Me stalking Haley on her route out of her room so I can give her a gift in Stardew. I am a stalker in Stardew. I know all the patterns. Have you heard pro comms and rivals? They are talking so much and thinking so much. They are, because, you know, you gotta communicate, and your communication skills when you're talking like that, you have to have good communication skills. You can't be fumbling the ball all the time if you're trying to communicate with your team. So I just started playing Deadlock again, and there's so much to do and think about that game, and it's so fast paced. I need to look into Deadlock. I honestly don't remember anything about it.
You know, playing out with your friends, talking and applying teamwork to win the game.
Yeah,
Some of the best
teamwork,
memories I personally have are
baby!
hopping out with my friends, playing some games, and having a good time. However, the key is having your priorities together, prioritizing your goals, your physical health, your relationships, developing a passion, learning.
Game Steam, that's
Once
so
you have that in order,
smart.
then when the day comes to an end, there's nothing wrong with hopping on and playing some games with your friends. Because time spent doing something you enjoy is time well spent. So stop listening to people that say.
I think that TikTok was a loop, and he was going to say, stop listening to people that say video games are a waste of time. Because at the end of the day, if you have your priorities in check, if you're taking care of all your other needs, your physical health, you're working on your goals, you're progressing, you're not putting your life on the back burner, then that's fine. I don't see anything wrong with that at all.
Realizing I wasted my 20s playing random video games and going nowhere in life, when instead I could have been playing the game I currently care about, and now I could be rich and max level by now. You know, I have this feeling so much in my life. I voted. I have this feeling so much in my life, it's not even funny.
think this
Damn,
guy
if
has it
only
right
I
on the
started this
button.
game
If you're having a good
sooner.
time doing it, it's time well spent.
I hate to be the one to tell you this, but you're an adult now, so it's time to start taking your life seriously and stop playing video games.
No.
Said by almost every parent and older figure in my life.
I want to talk
Yeah.
about how frustrating it is when that mindset is selectively applied to people who just play video games. People can binge watch a show in a whole weekend and no one will say a word. That's considered
Right.
normal. Or people scroll social media for hours
Mhm,
and
mhm.
again, no one really
This.
says anything. But when someone plays video games, suddenly it's treated like this is the worst thing you could do with your time. It's a moral failing. And that framing is just simply not accurate. Video
Shake my
games are
head.
not inherently a waste of time. They are interactive, they're skills based, they're story driven experiences that require problem solving, decision making, creativity, and persistence because the amount of times that you die in a game and you just simply want to rage quit, but you keep going, that almost builds resilience.
And don't tell me gaming doesn't add value to my life because it has taught me patience, okay? Tell me you still have patience after fishing in Stardew Valley and try to get that legendary fish. Tell me you still have patience after playing several generations in Sims without drowning them in the pool or giving them generational trauma and have them die from it. Tell me you have patience after grinding and fighting the same boss over and over just so you can get that legendary item.
There's
Yeah,
also the
yeah,
fact that some games are deeply narrative. There's so many complex scenes, dialogues, backgrounds of characters that I think are worth experiencing because you get something out of the game. You get lessons, you get to connect to something just like you would in a TV show. Some of the cutscenes literally feel like you're watching an interactive TV show, and it's
Mhm,
amazing.
mhm.
Some games require more strategic thinking and patience than most things people would label as productive. So writing off games as just pointless entertainment really ignores
Yeah, I was
how
gonna
much
say
mental
Dispatch.
engagement that they can
That's what
have.
I was
So the
thinking that
problem is
actually.
not gaming itself because as we've outlined, there's so many things that games can do that makes it not a waste of time. But the problem is unbalanced gaming. And this is where moderation comes in. If you have an addictive personality, you get hyperfixated really easily. This is where gaming can be dangerous in a way because you will get so obsessed to the point where you
Zinger,
can't think
hello,
about
good
doing
morning.
anything
I
else.
hope you have a
That's
wonderful
me. I am
day.
her. She is me. I am that person. If I find something that I love and I connect to, I will put off everything else while I'm experiencing that said thing. For TV shows, that was Outlander for me. For games, that was Hogwarts Legacy. When that first came out, that was an amazing game. I've done many playthroughs since then. It has gotten to the point where I am bored of it now because I've played it so many times. There's also Animal Crossing, New Horizons that came out
Oh my
back when the
God,
pandemic
Animal
first
Crossing
happened.
just
That
came out
took
with
up
an
a lot of my
update. I'm gonna
time.
have to
Disney
put it
Dreamlight
on.
Valley
I'm
was
gonna have
another
to
one
think
that I
about
completely
that.
lost myself in. And then obviously Horizon Zero Dawn and then Horizon Forbidden West. Those two games have completely encapsulated my entire being. But
Yep,
the point of me saying
they
this
came
is
up
that
with the free
anything done
update.
without boundaries can become a
Um,
problem. Reading
I think it
nonstop
might
to
already
avoid
be out.
responsibilities can be a problem. Exercising obsessively can be a problem. Working constantly can be a problem. Even things we universally label as good can become a problem
No,
when there's
not
no
Switch 2
boundaries in check,
exclusive.
when there's
Mm-mm.
no time off, when you just continually do that said thing and let it consume your entire life. And gaming is no different than any of the other things I've listed, and it's also not uniquely dangerous. It's just visible, it's interactive, it's easy to judge, and there's a stigma around video games that tie it to childhood. Growing up automatically means you can't play video games anymore. When gaming is done in moderation, it can be incredibly beneficial. It can relieve stress, provide structure, foster creativity, and build community. It can also be a great way to unwind after work, connect with friends across distance, or experience stories you wouldn't get anywhere else. For a lot of people, gaming is an immense source of joy, and it's also a way that people can spend time with each other. If you're in a relationship and you're both gamers, there's two interactive games, actually three interactive games that I feel like would be really worth playing that have some sort of deeper meaning behind them. And the first one is the Unravel games. There's two of them, and they're really cute, cozy games where you're like little yarn guys and you work together to get across the map and figure out, I forget what the objective is, but it's a really cute game. The other one is It Takes Two. That was one of the best games I've ever played. And another one that was made from the creators of It Takes Two was Split Fiction, which is more of like a hyper realistic game, but it is so well done and I really recommend playing
Kane,
those.
good
So those are
morning.
my
Hello.
recommendations to any gamer
Welcome
couples
in.
out there or just friends who want to game together. those are some really good games to play. But for many people, gaming is an immense
I
source of
have
joy,
Split
and
Fiction.
joy
I
is
need to
not
play
a
that.
waste of time. If anything, we need to
Maybe I'll
do
drag
things in
someone
our
in
lives
for
to bring in
stream.
more joy, because this world is dark, it's scary, it's not a nice place half the time. So we need to bring in things into our free time to create joy in our lives, to have something to look forward to at the end of our work days. So instead of villainizing video games and saying, you should not be playing them at all when you're so and so aged, we just need to realize that it needs to be done in moderation, and that once it starts taking over your life where you feel like you can't do anything else or you don't want to do anything else, that's where it crosses into addiction territory. That's where it becomes, okay, this is all encompassing now to the point where it's not healthy for me to partake this much. I need to put some boundaries in place. Now that we've
Okay,
talked about
hello,
the
good
villainization of
morning.
video games, we're going to be talking about how this
You want to play
crosses
Split
into
Fiction? I've
overconsumption
heard such
territory,
good things
because
about it.
it does so in more than just one way, not just financially, although that's a big part of it, but also just the time spent playing. So one of the biggest lies we've been sold is that having a lot of choice equals more enjoyment. But I've found in reality that it often does the opposite. When you have so many choices, I don't know about you guys, but for example, when I'm trying to look for a movie on Netflix or Disney Plus or Amazon Prime or any of the other streaming services, I feel overwhelmed to the point where
Nope,
I
that's not
don't
my
know what to
face.
watch. And instead of picking a movie to watch, I spent like an hour scrolling trying to find something that I'm in the mood for. And then I just get fed up and I go to bed. Just like TV shows, there are more games available
Thank you
now
for the
that any one
biddies. Thank you,
person
thank
could
you.
ever realistically play. And instead of feeling lucky, many gamers feel paralyzed. You scroll through your library, open a game, close it after 10 minutes, then repeat the cycle, not because games are bad, but because abundance kills commitment. Games used to
That abundance kills commitment. That sentence, that phrase right there. Yes. Decision paralysis. Yes. I deal with that so much on my off time when I'm not streaming. And even before streams, I sit here like, do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? What about 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 this? And look, while you're in your meeting, good luck on your meeting. Abundance kills commitment. Yes, truth. Exactly. Like, I've actually uninstalled a bunch of games, so I don't have the abundance on my list, but then I have to go back and go through the list when I get bored of all the games that I have downloaded. I have the same issue. So many nights I've sat here and looked at all the hundreds of dollars worth of video games I own, and I'm like, I can't determine what to play. Whenever I don't know what to do, my brain defaults to Warframe. That's fair. Right now my brain's defaulting to Heartopia. Just because it's very calm. I haven't been playing many other games. I logged into Where Winds Meet because I was upsetty spaghetti with the game, as you guys know, because the new area wasn't launched with the update, but the new area's out now, so I can't be mad anymore. But I've also just like Rivals I've stopped, Arc Raiders I've stopped, and they're not because I don't want to play the games. I want to play the games. It's just the decision paralysis. You know, decision demons take over, and then I don't know what to do, and then I panic, and then I just go for like an easy game. All right, going back to the games, the video about
special
games.
because you spend time with them, but now it feels disposable. Like you buy a game on sale just because it's on sale. It gets
I've
added to
done
the
that.
backlog and you'll get to it someday, and
I've
you
done
never
that.
do. And that mentality has
I'm
also
guilty.
changed how games are created.
I'm
I've found
guilty.
that games get launched way before they're supposed to, and
Woo!
their mentality is launch now, fix all the bugs later. This was especially evident in Disney Dreamlight Valley. The amount of bugs in this game was wild. And I'm not saying they didn't do a good job doing it, but it had a lot of issues to the point where so many players were fed up with Disney that they just wrote off the game altogether. Like they were not even going to try to play it anymore, specifically those who played it on Switch. Even though it was sold on Switch, it could not run on Switch. Not only that, but the game would crash constantly.
Oh.
You'd do a quest, you'd struggle to get all the resources you need to finish this task, and then all of a sudden the game would crash and it wouldn't save any of your progress. And that for me caused so many rage quits. I don't know. I can't really be bothered to play anymore. And there's so many different DLCs that have come out. Like there's this new Horse Ranch one that came out for Disney Dreamlight Valley. And I think before I would have jumped on the bandwagon because it's like, oh, it's new. You can ride a horse in this one. You can do that before. But I just know that if I spent money on this DLC, I probably would not continue to play it just because of all the other issues in the game. They're introducing so many new characters now that the game just feels laggy. If you've played Disney Dreamlight Valley, you know that at certain times in the day, certain characters have their own routines. They're basically in one spot at this time of the day and then in another spot. And I found that they've introduced so many Disney characters into the game now. They're all huddled together and it causes the game to be incredibly glitchy. I also feel that the amount of games that have come out that just don't feel fresh anymore, that just feel like a regurgitation of past content is
Okay. Before she moves on to the next topic, I want to talk about what she just talked about. The amount of games that come out that are completely unfinished is ridiculous. The amount of games that come out and are not, they're not ready for launch is absolutely ridiculous. The amount of early access games and that, you know, you're like, yeah, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of games launching and not being ready for launch at all. I think it's the cheapest, most bullshit thing in the world. Um, it's actually why I've stopped playing a lot of games when they're like early launch, early access. Um, Early access, at least you know it's unfinished. That's true. That's true. At least you know that there's, you know, eventually a finish line. But then you have games and like no hate to this game. I love this game. But then you have games like 7 Days to Die, for example, that was in early access for how many years? How many years was that game on early access? Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I loved that game and I played the hell out of that game before it was launched as a 1.1. 11 years. 11 years. Um but I'm also talking about games like they said, Disney Dreamlight Valley, where it's too buggy for launching. It's too buggy for launching. But then you have games, like I said, that are in early access for 11 years and good. Like it's buggy, but they fix the bugs and it's updated frequently and blah, 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 blah. And games like, oh gosh, what's another game that was Pal World? It was really good with it, with the updates and stuff, with the early access. But then you have games that they go in as early access and they never go past it, I guess, is what it is. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Scrolling. Sorry. Oh my God, I loved DLV so much, but I got so freaking burnt out on it because they did updates so often. And like, I don't want this to be the only game I'm playing. Fair. There was a game on Roblox that I was really hyped for, but they have no updates at launch. And then they lost all of their player base. And now there are only 300 players instead of 46,000. Holy most games are 100% more attractive when you have people who play the game or when you have people to play the game with. It's why I have so many hours in Final Fantasy 14 and now I don't really play it at all. Friends left attachment with it. I've noticed that with like Blue Protocol, Where Winds Meet, Rivals, Arc Raiders for me, for example. That's a big thing. When my friend group isn't part of it as active anymore, it's hard for me to have that game attachment. Can we take a moment to discuss Borderlands 4? Sure, let's take a moment and discuss Borderlands 4. I know nothing about it, so the discussion is up to you guys, and I'll just have opinions. It was better than 3. I spent so much money on the Ultra Mega Super Special Awesome Edition. It literally takes an hour to load the shaders just to get it in. Oh my, an hour? An hour? Wow. I've not played 3, but my entry into the series was Tiny Tina and I loved it so much. The problem is when they release it as a finished product and then it's worse than most early access game. Oh yeah, that's really, really bad. That's really bad. Deadlock currently. I want to be part of this convo so bad, but I gotta pay attention at work. Damn these priorities. I'm sorry. Closed beta. and not alpha. Susu, also, I always play rivals with you. Ow, hit me up. Um, but then after you've loaded in the original shaders and you warp to a different area, oh, there are oh my, oh no. Baldur's Gate was early access for so many years before they finally released this and sweeping awards. I'm worried for the release of GTA 6 is going to be, oh, I don't even think the GTA 6 is a myth. I don't believe it. I don't know why I did like a fake old lady voice there. I don't know. Back in my day. Back in my day. But true with Baldur's Gate. It's not all early access games, but there are some games that like you just shouldn't have. And like you guys said, at least with early access, there's, you know what you're buying, you're getting a pre-game game basically. I just wish there was a game with single player, but the world was constantly changing and your decisions actually made a difference. And I'm talking about an RPG, not a civilization sim. I'm not big on civilization sims. Oh my God, say that 5 times fast. Um, Warframe is still technically in beta. Really? Did not know that.
Is higher than it ever was. I feel this especially with the Pokemon industry. Pokemon players don't come for me. I have played every single Pokemon game that has ever come out, okay? I love Pokemon. However, the recent Pokemon game release that just came out in 2025, I found myself not even wanting to play it. I bought it because I've played every single Pokemon game.
I will
and
not buy
typically
this
in
game.
the past, I have finished the campaign, the whole game, in like a week after I've gotten it. I've gotten this last year and I have not finished it at all. I have no desire to play it. There's no urgency to play it. And it's not because I don't think it's a good game. I just think it's the same formula that we've seen before.
Okay, it's not even that. I have so many more problems with the Pokemon game because the fact is that there was DLC right at launch. That's icky to me. That's big ick. Big ick. Big ick. Icky, icky, icky.
Mega evolution stuff, I
Shadow
wish
Kitty, hello.
didn't
Good
happen.
morning. Welcome
I don't like
in.
the mega evolutions, but every single release, they continually get more absurd. And what used to feel exciting just feels tired, overdone. There's nothing new. What are you offering me?
Big
I
time
think the
2D,
only
big
thing
time.
that really drew me into this game was the fact that you played a slightly older character. You weren't a 12-year-old girl collecting Pokemon anymore. You were an adult traveling on your own.
Oh, I
and
like
that's what
that.
felt
I
fresh
want to be
me,
an
but
adult
not enough to
playing
keep me wanting to
Pokemon.
play the game.
Does anybody else get severe
I don't always
cases
have to be
of
a
video
12-year-old.
game burnout? About a month and a half ago,
Look,
I
I
beat
want to
Super
be a
Mario 3D
76-year-old.
World, and I
Look,
have
look, look.
not played a game
Look, guys, hold up. Hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. I have a new Pokemon premise. Let's be 76-year-old people. 82-year-old people. Little old men, women. Let's be little old men and women going on our first Pokemon adventure. Wow. Pick them in. 6, 7. Stupid. But yeah, what was I saying? That'd be funny. Playing as an old man, old lady, doing their first Pokemon adventure at the ripe old age of 72. Mm-hmm.
And the thought of playing a game irritates me. There's nothing else I want to do less than play video games right now, and like that's kind of been my life for the past like 7 years. At that time, I had also announced that I was kind of just done with TikTok. I moved over to YouTube. Serum in the Flesh on YouTube, by the way.
Sorry, boss. There's a spaceship flying above my house and trapping me with lasers. I'm not allowed to leave. Boomer discovers. And Billy, back in my day, we had original Pokemon like Crab and Bird. You need to watch that. The kid did 6, 7 to him, and he responds with 8, 9 and hand movements on the left and right instead of up and down. I got tired of my kids saying it, so I started saying 8, 9 afterwards to make them stop. Dumb. I love
really
it.
into the Pokemon card hobby, and I have been for like a year now, and I'm just like, I'm so into it. And of course, I do plan on getting the Switch 2 and the Legends EA physical release soon and all that. And I will make videos with that. But I canceled my pre-order for Ghost of Yotei, Battlefield 6, Ninja Gaiden 4, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, the Pac-Man World 2 repack, just like everything. All of my pre-orders have been canceled besides the Switch 2 and Legends ZA. And Kirby Air Riders. That's important, by the way. You know, funny enough, I haven't even been past like this point in the game room. Like, I don't even go over here anymore. I don't bother. No joke, the other day I was kind of just looking at this shelf and I thought to myself, why do I own this? Now, I'm not going to sell it because I had this happen to me one other time before.
Okay, but like, you have all that stuff, and you're saying, why do I own this? All that stuff brought you hours, months, weeks of years of entertainment. That's why you own that stuff. Don't play ignorant all of a sudden because there's a lack of interest. All that stuff was your entertainment for years. So let's not downplay that. I don't like it when people do that. It's just like, yeah, you have all this stuff because at one point you truly enjoyed this hobby, this passion, this interest, whatever the case is. And that's why you have all this stuff. It brought you joy.
It was a few years ago, and we were just moving, and I ended up selling like 200
The Mighty
games,
Wizard.
and I didn't buy a
Welcome
single
in.
thing
Good
for
morning.
months because I just did not care. But of course, I ended up getting right back into the hobby, and that's actually when I started doing game reviews.
I think the equivalent of what he's trying to describe here is reading slumps. But instead of it being a book, he's in a video game slump. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when people have the tendency to hyperfixate on a hobby, they game or they read a book, they read, and then they just get completely overstimulated or overwhelmed by the hobby and just don't pick up a book again for months. So that's what a reading slump is. You love the hobby, you don't feel like doing it. And what makes that especially unfortunate is when you've spent a lot of money on all these games. Like he said, he hasn't touched anything from one point in his game room to another. All of the games, he's like, why do I even own this? That is hundreds of dollars of games, but he doesn't want to sell them because he knows himself he's going to get right back into the hobby. But there's so many games out there, and there's not really enough newness. There's not really something to draw you in, something new and exciting. It's all just kind of the same stuff, just regurgitated with a new name. And that's why people are like, I don't really feel like playing this anymore.
I miss the days where you could just buy a video game and play them. Now you
me learning hobbies for 2 weeks and then focusing on it so much that I stopped, but I still very much love the hobbies. Yes. ADHD commands me. Must chase stim. Yep, 100%. Wizard, the day's going well. I've slept 2 days in a row. Things are good. Brain is good. We're happy. We're here. We're chatting about video games. There's an ad starting soon, which means coffee time. And yeah, hi. ADHD brain must do the thing I like and hyperfocus until shiny new thing comes into hyperfocus on. Yes. 1,000 times yes. I've learned that when it comes to hobbies in me, there's some hobbies that are like across the board, like reading, video games. They tend to stay even if I go in slumps with them. But when I want to develop a new hobby, I have to sit on it for a couple weeks because I will go grab everything to do the hobby, and then I'll do it for like a month and then not touch it for a while. But like painting, I was painting all the time. 2019, 2020, 21, 22, painting all the time. So that's years. And then all of a sudden I stopped. I don't know why. I have my paintings all over my ship. I don't know why. Like when I get a new game, get 2 hours of sleep a night for about 2 weeks, and then the game never gets touched again. Speaking of which, I got a new cookbook, a ramen cookbook. Gonna start making Can you send me like, can you send pictures of recipes that are really good? And then I can send pictures from my cookbooks of recipes that are really good. And then we can trade recipes that are really good in our cookbooks. Cookbook pen pals. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick be right back. I'm really sorry. We will start this clip from the beginning when I get back. And I'm going to make my coffee. Please get up and stretch during this ad break time. Get your stretchies in, get some, go face a window, get some sunlight, drink some water, live your best life for a couple seconds.
I miss the days where you could just buy a
Yeah.
video game and play them.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to buy a game, wait half a day or a whole 8 hours till it loads. And when the game
Yes.
finally does load, they start asking for money the whole time. So you got to pay more money to play
Mhm,
the game.
mhm,
I'm
mhm.
older now, so I haven't played online games in a while. Got one for my son. Now they want like $200 a year just for him to play the game that I already paid
Mhm.
$80 for. Then you got to spend money the whole time you're playing. Like, what the
And this goes into the cost of gaming
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. The cost of gaming today, man, it's not the same. Um,
Gaming is no longer just a pastime. You don't just buy a console and you buy a game and you can play it. There's all these microtransactions now attached to it. It's a massive economic machine, and it doesn't just limit itself to consoles and games. The global video game industry generates close to $200 billion a year, and that money doesn't come from
Shit.
just a few big purchases anymore. It comes from constant incremental spending. And studies show that the average gamer spends anywhere from a few $100s to nearly $1,000 a year on games, accessories, and subscriptions. Taking a step back, that doesn't
I'm
really
guilty.
seem like that much,
I'm
but
guilty.
it is.
Mhm.
But for some
I'm guilty.
demographics, especially millennials, that number can exceed $1,000 annually without much effort. And what makes this spending so sneaky is that it
Why,
rarely
especially for
feels like a big
millennials? Is
decision.
it
You're not dropping
is it because they
$1,000
have
at once,
more
but you're
expendable
buying a game
income?
here and
Like,
new
why
DLC.
millennials?
You're buying a new controller that's a limited edition, or a subscription renewal, Xbox Live, for example.
So apparently it's a huge red flag that I've spent over $2,000 on Fortnite V-Bucks. It's called building a portfolio. Ever heard of investing, you uncultured
You're buying a cosmetic pack, a season's pass, and
Oh,
all of these things
no.
cost real life money. Every purchase feels small and justified on its own, but every measly little $10 or sometimes more, those amounts stack up to something significant. I've found myself having the same struggle, especially when there's limited time drops in the store. New
Yes,
outfits,
yes,
new shaders,
yes.
like depending on what game I'm
Outfits
playing,
get me, man.
if it has something
Outfits.
to make my character look cuter,
Mhm,
I'm
mhm.
definitely bound to partake in that
Yes.
because, I want
Yes.
my character to look cute. That's just how it is. But
I
it
just
can
want to be a
become
cute
dangerous
motherfucker in my
when you
game,
have
damn
no
it.
willpower, where you don't take a step back from that moment where you're just like, it's in the store for a limited time. I have to get it before it goes away. I don't know if it's going to come back again. And that's where it becomes dangerous, and you don't realize how much money you're actually spending before
Mhm.
it's too late. And speaking of games that slowly turn into emptying our wallets instead of just a hobby, is the Sims franchise. Now, this franchise is huge, and I've played The Sims a little bit. I don't think I've ever really been obsessed with The Sims, but this is one of the clearest
Oh,
examples of how
I'm
much money these
bleeding.
packs can add up
Huh.
to. There are 20 major
should stop
expansion
that.
packs available, and each one typically retails for around $40. That means if you buy every expansion at full price, you'd be spending around $800 just on expansions alone. Some estimates put the total cost of all the DLCs well over $1,000, even before sales are factored in.
Real Sims lovers know that you don't choose to play The Sims. You wake up one day and you're obsessed, you're hooked. You play every single day for multiple hours per day for like 3 months, you're completely manic, you don't think about anything else, it just consumes your life. And then the next day you wake up and you've forgotten about it. Sims who? And for 8 to 9 months, you don't even think once about it, and then the cycle starts over.
And the cycle starts over because of all these new DLCs that they keep coming out with. It's like
Mhm,
drawing you
mhm.
back into the game. And gaming used to be mainly
So, the microtransaction hell in video games, check the DoorDash bill. I don't do DoorDash. They don't deliver to space. It's a problem. Delivery to space is a problem. So I don't get to use DoorDash, but microtransactions in games is absolutely appalling. In Heartopia, for example, because I've been playing this a lot, there's cars in the game that I desperately want, and I'll probably save up to get one because I have the ability to save up. And I'm jealous of everyone who has it right now. But the cars in the game are a little bit pricey, pricier than I would expect the pixel cars in a game to be. But are they cute? Yes. Am I probably gonna get one? Yes. Am I gonna probably hate myself just a little tiny bit for falling into my microtransaction hell? Yes. But will I be happy? Maybe. Maybe.
digital experiences, but it's turned physical too. Like there's the Sims clothing even. There's themed
Oh.
controllers, headsets, consoles, limited edition everything. There's amiibos, Funko Pops. Gaming has become a lifestyle brand. And not only that, but it's also become incredibly aestheticized. I see all these cozy gaming setups and I get massive FOMO because that looks amazing. Who doesn't want that? And then you also have collectors who collect anything that has anything to do with whatever game they're obsessed with. However, I want to be clear here, collecting is not bad. Collecting in itself is a hobby, and if that's how you choose to spend your money, that's your prerogative.
Exactly.
That's totally okay.
It's also a
However,
hobby,
the
and people
issue is
need to
when
remember
collecting
that.
starts to become automatic
Even with the
rather
head
than
pads.
intentional. Like, you're not trying to collect these things, but you continually buy to the point where you do have a collection, or you start buying things because you feel like you're supposed to,
Oh my
not because
goodness.
you actually want
Hold up,
to.
hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up.
Collection, or you start buying things because
What? But that's a nice collection.
you feel like you're supposed to, not because you actually want to, because it's limited.
Damn. Damn. Look at that. Look at all of them that we passed. Damn.
Because it might sell out,
Oh
because
my
everyone has
God.
it. And companies are very good at exploiting the fear of missing
Okay, this is a nice collection. This is a nice collection.
People
Look
will
at
put
that.
things on their credit card just to partake in whatever they released. But the other way this
That's
taps into
impressive.
overconsumption is attention. Money is the most obvious cost or form of overconsumption when it comes to gaming, but the time spent playing is the one that sneaks up on people the hardest. On average, gamers in the US spend around 9 hours a week playing a game, which doesn't sound excessive at all. For many people, that's a perfectly reasonable way to relax, but if you spend any time reading gaming forums or Reddit threads, you'll quickly realize that a lot of players are spending far more than that, sometimes up to 8 hours per day, which is so easy to do because the games suck you in and you really don't realize how much time is passing unless you have outside commitments that will be like, hey, you have to feed your child, you have to take your dog out, like you can't keep playing anymore. You
A perfect relationship does not exist.
is so easy to do
Worried my wife's mad at me for gaming all day.
because the games suck you in and you really don't realize how much time is
My
passing
wife.
unless you have outside commitments that will be like, hey, you have to
The
feed your
perfect
child,
relationship.
you have to take your dog out, like you can't keep playing anymore, you have to make dinner. And while some people are happy with the amount of time they've spent playing video games, there are others who are simply not happy. I went on Reddit and I was looking at this thread, and there was someone who was talking about how playing video games wasted their youth and they regret that decision immensely, and I can see that to a point. Time goes by super fast and you can't get time back. And this isn't because gaming's evil, but it's because the games are so immersive that you don't notice the time slipping away. And I found that games are designed to do that. Like, a single mission can take a half hour to an hour, and one mission doesn't really seem like that much. However, that's how long it takes. And because you want the progression and you want to level up and you get that hit of dopamine, any single time you get any reward, you want to keep playing. You want to see what happens next in the
That's
story.
true.
It's
That's
like reading
true.
a really good chapter of a book. You just want to know what happens next.
Wife dealt with this actually. She's sick right now, so she's not around. But wife was playing Dispatch the other day on stream, and she was only thinking about doing like a 1 hour stream, but the episodes kept leaving on a cliffhanger that she was like, oh, one more. And each of those episodes is about an hour long, give or take. So she ended up doing like a 5 hour stream because it was just that good, and she wanted to know more and more and more until the end happened. And then you couldn't just stop with one episode left. Like, you gotta, yeah.
And I've been incredibly guilty of just one more quest, one more objective, and then suddenly you've spent additional hours playing the game. What this means is that gaming is powerful. It can tap into emotions, it can draw you in, it can give you a form of escapism, but anything that powerful deserves intentional limits, because otherwise you're going to lose yourself to the game.
The Sims addiction has to be studied, because why have I been playing The Sims since I was 10 years old, if not younger, maybe like 8 or 9? And I will play that game for hours upon hours upon hours. I will do nothing but play The Sims. But then I'll forget about it for like 3 months, and then boom, I'm right back at it. I am sucked into whatever wormhole is The Sims, and I can't stop playing. I can't stop thinking about anything other than The Sims. Like, this is borderline an addiction at this point, but I love it. So,
Without boundaries in place, boundaries that you specifically have to put there, time overconsumption does not feel like a choice. It feels like something that just suddenly happens to you, and it is a choice. Believe me, I've been there. If you struggle with that, have someone in your life to keep you accountable. Put a timer on your phone to tell you, hey, it's time to stop now. The uncomfortable truth is that many modern games are designed to encourage this level of engagement. So daily login rewards, time-limited events, streaks, seasonal content, all of this is built to make not playing feel like a loss. And
Yep.
from a purely
Yep.
business
Yep.
standpoint,
Yep.
that makes sense. The longer players stay engaged, the more likely they are to spend money. And the industry
That is
benefits
very
when
true.
players
That is
never
very
log off.
true.
And that doesn't mean developers are villains. They're simply looking at it from a business standpoint. But what this does mean is that players need awareness. And one of the most underrated tools against overconsumption of video games is simply boredom, allowing yourself to get bored. A lot of people want that instant dopamine. They want to be entertained constantly 24/7. And gaming fits perfectly into that cycle, offering endless engagement.
Ooh, I'm going to go on a tangent about two things that she said. So she talked about how there's an addiction level with games, and that's true. Very, very, very true. And it's actually so true that Generation Alpha and Beta are addicted to their tablets and their phones and all that, to a point where when they're in school, and I guess that's Generation Alpha now, when they're in school, they're actually going through withdrawal symptoms. And that's honestly why the behaviors are so bad in schools lately. It's because brains are not meant for the level, especially young developing brains. I like brains. I study human brains. Hee 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 hee. Human brains are not designed at that age to handle that type of and they basically get addicted to the dopamine, the chase, the constant attention, and basically the active convenience has warped all of our brains. That boredom is seen as a bad thing instead of a progressive good thing. When you're bored, you unboard yourself, you know? Instead, now boredom's becoming a bad thing because during your boredom, you do not know how to handle it. You can't unboard yourself without the assistance of it's mainly like the short form content that's really bad for the brains, for young brains, for brains, little brains. The short form content just fried them. And like being bored is now withdrawal symptoms technically because they can't handle the thoughts, can't handle the brain too much, need quiet brain, watch short content. And then the thing, you know, that was just the addiction part. It's very interesting that we see that it's an addictive thing. They've made it addictive, games and like all more content as a general. They've made it addictive. They have scientists out there studying the human brain and going, how can we manipulate the system to make the fucking become priority? How can we make it, you know, take priority is the right word. Take first place in our lives. And then in addition to that, you know, financially, the microtransactions that we were talking about.
And constant rewards and 24/7 stimulation.
Yep, the
However,
stimulation
boredom creates contrast, and when you allow yourself to step back and take some time away from gaming, they actually start to feel enjoyable again. You also get to learn what else you like to do. You get to work on yourself. You get to create new hobbies. You get to find new dreams and work on achieving those. When you allow yourself to get bored, amazing things can happen.
So spook addiction is bad. I disagree.
Let me know what you guys think. Are you part of
All right, that's the end of the video. But yeah, addiction's bad. Don't be addicted to me because then if I disappear for a week, you'll go through withdrawal symptoms and that's bad.